Welcome all, I'm joined today by Hovsep Patvakanyan, the founder and shareholder of InvestArmenia. Today we'll be discussing InvestArmenia, which launched on May 19th, what exactly it is, and how it hopes to attract investors to the Armenian market. So Hovsep, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for the invitation.
So InvestArmenia had a grand opening not so long ago. It was attended by a number of big names like Economy Minister Vahan Kerobyan and the High Commissioner for Diaspora Affairs, Zare Sinanyan. It's self-described as a private business consulting company that bridges investment offers in Armenia with thousands of potential investors, as well as Armenian exporting companies with potential buyers from hundreds of countries. So can you explain to our watchers in layman's terms, what exactly is a private business consulting company aiming to bridge investment offers in Armenia?
Sure. So the platform that we've launched is called InvestInAm. On one hand, it has the investment offers, investment projects in Armenia that have been submitted by different businesses working in Armenia that have undergone the checks and the feasibility from our team and the AI-based tools within the platform. And it basically matches the projects to the investors that we work with. We have a database of around 2,000 people that are in different countries. A lot of them are diaspora Armenians, but a lot of them are also venture funds and foreign funds that are attracted to Armenia to invest in Armenia. On the other hand, the platform allows you to have your export products for B2B sales within the platform. And as soon as you register the product and gets the verification, then you'll match to the distributors in different countries and wholesale buyers who apply to us to find their niche in Armenia and to import products from Armenia. But when we started to work on these two areas, we've realized that there are a lot of things that investors are also looking for in terms of the basic information, how to do the business in Armenia, what are the business procedures, starting from getting the permission to construct a hotel, ending with the obtaining of residence permit. And at the same time, it was difficult for them to cope with the tax code and understanding what the tax burden will be for their potential business. So we've created certain tools and calculators. Within the platform, you can, in 10-15 seconds, enter the business parameters that you envisage for Armenia, and as well calculate you all the taxes that you'll need to cover within your business activity. At the same time, we've created so-called export potential calculator, where you can enter the product of your interest, and it will show you the niche in different countries where you can enter, where you can export. And it will also show you and give you information about the tariffs, about the procedures, so how to enter those markets, etc.
Okay, and I mean, InvestArmenia also functions as a sort of investors' news platform, especially on a number of different platforms like Facebook. There were recent posts about a hotel in Dilijan, about investments into fruit companies in Armenia, even environmental cleanup operations going on. So are these developments ones that InvestArmenia has had its hand in, or does it just serve to highlight, the news, positive economic news?
It comprises of two parts. There are projects that we've handled ourselves, that we've attracted investments for, and these are the investors that we've worked with. But there are also some grant projects, especially the ones that are implemented through the state funding and state investments, that we need to highlight as well, because whenever an investor considers Armenia, it's an unknown country for the investor. And it's very good for him and for the fund to have the idea and the image of Armenia, which is compatible with his expectations to enter the market.
Mm-hmm. And in general, how would you describe Armenia's investment environment to someone who may not know much about the country? Is it a one-line catch-all, or does it have to be specified between each sector depending on size and speciality?
Definitely. Whenever we work with investors, firstly we do the profiling of the investor to understand and to assess what kind of sectors they are interested in, and then we pitch the investment offers based on their profiling. Armenia is basically the only country within the region, and by region I mean a broader region of Eurasia, which is on one hand a member of Eurasian Economic Union, which gives it access to the Eurasian markets, and on the other hand has an agreement with the European Union, the SEPA agreement. and at the same time has different preferential trade regimes with Singapore, Serbia, and other countries, which basically allows Armenia to enter those markets with zero customs. And these are the markets that amount to 1.5 billion people. This is a huge message for investors who consider a place for manufacturing, which can be easily connected to different markets for as low as zero customs payments. On the other hand, Armenia is one of the few countries where it's very easy, extremely easy to register a business. Okay. Whenever we have investors, especially from Middle East or Arab countries, they're very much surprised that for Armenia, you don't have to give the minimum capital requirement as such. And you can register a business, an LLC, within 15-20 minutes. And it can be done very easily. In Armenia, it's also quite easy, and it is, I believe, in top 15 countries in the world to register property rights. On the other hand, there are also some incentives, investment incentives, that we also talk about depending on the sector. When it comes to agriculture, there are subsidies for the construction of smart farms, intensive orchards, or greenhouses, if it is high-tech greenhouse. The government subsidies cover around 50 to 70% of all the construction costs, which is huge. On the other hand, when it comes to IT sector, you know that there are two main areas of the incentives. First is the tax exemption for the IT startups that are employing less than 30 people in their office. And just recently, there was another law adopted that refers to the bigger companies that employ 50 or more people, which are given the subsidy in form of the personal income tax, 50% from the already paid amount. On the other hand, whenever there is a consideration of a larger group of people to move here, and there are a lot of businesses now we work with on the relocation to Armenia, they consider a place for their workers where it will be safe, where it will be easy for the long-term involvement and long-term residence. And Armenia, in these terms, are a perfect spot. A lot of them got surprised knowing about the mortgage payment reimbursement scheme that exists in Armenia. And for the IT workers, it's a perfect spot to live here, to get high salaries that come from abroad, and to also formalize the mortgage payments and to receive the personal income tax back for their mortgage payment.
And in terms of the various economic sectors in Armenia, what are some of the sectors which it's easiest to find investors for, and what are some of the sectors where it's a little more difficult?
I would say top three will be top one is IT sector, tech sector, followed by the food and beverages, processing, and agriculture. Also, there is differentiation between which investors are interested in what kind of sectors. For example, from the Arab countries, we receive a lot of requests and a lot of offers that are going to the renewable energy sector in Armenia or to the agriculture and food processing. From Russia, this past several weeks and I believe already 2 months, we keep receiving the offers for the IT and tech sector in general, also logistics. When it comes to the other sectors, it's very hard to find an investment offer, a plausible investment offer, when it comes to the manufacturing of products that have longer supply chain. Usually it's the equipment, transportation, etc., those who require more involvement and longer involvement of labor force.
Mm-hmm. And Economy Minister Vahan Kerobyan mentioned recently that there has been a large increase in the number of tech workers in Armenia, and many analysts are putting this down to the influx of people coming from Russia. I'm wondering what you think about this phenomenon and about what this means for investment in Armenia.
Firstly, it resonates very well amongst the investors community.
Okay.
Although tech sector has always been a driving force in Armenia. It was quite developed already, but this tendency has put Armenia in the spotlight not only amongst the Russian IT companies, but in general worldwide. Coupled with the fact that when you bring big companies with big names to Armenia, it's becoming a resident of a country that was unknown before. And then people start to dig deeper and to understand that here you have high human capital, you have quality price ratio, which is quite good for the IT sector, and you have quite good preferential regimes when it comes to taxes. And we see that because of this influx, a lot of other companies that didn't know about Armenia before, they started to consider Armenia. We've just had the contacts with the Portuguese company that has moved to Armenia. We've had another company that we're negotiating right now from Mexico. We have another company from Australia. And those are companies that they have no Armenian involved in their operations. They don't even have one worker as an Armenian. And this is a good sign. Of course, we've done our part of job as well, since, as you know, in our platform and social networks, we do a lot of advertising and investment promotion of Armenia as a destination. We have a newsletter where we work with foreigners, covering around 40,000 foreigners that we believe are influencers in their countries, to pass on the message that Armenia is a good place for doing investments.
And Hovsep, obviously you have a lot of experience with investors and business people from around the world. What sort of feedback are you getting in terms of what could be done better to attract more investment and investors to Armenia?
So first thing that we receive from investors are several procedures, administrative procedures. One of the areas they experience issues is getting the construction permit. In Armenia's legislation, the construction permits are given within 2 months, but we have cases with investors that are waiting for the construction permit already for a year. This is extremely frustrating for investors, especially when you have money, you have the business you work with, you have all the agreements, but for some reason this adjustment doesn't take place very fast. What they want is a quick response mechanism to their needs, especially in those cases when there is already an investment in place and there is a local company they work with. The second area would be the corporate governance principles that are lacking in Armenia's companies. Of course, in the tech sector it's more prevalent, but there are many sectors where companies still need to get accustomed to the corporate governance principles. And we see a lot of cases when the investor is there, the investment is there, but due to incompatibility with the corporate governance principles, it takes longer for the investment to happen. And third would be again, the administrative procedures that refer to getting the electricity, getting water connection, getting the gas connection, because although there are prescribed steps of how the business should conduct those procedures, in reality, there are a lot of non-formal institutions working in this area, which again doesn't allow the transparent procedures to be in place.
And finally, Armenia has faced a military defeat in 2020. There was a political crisis. There are street protests. But that aside, do you find that any investors are dissuaded from coming to Armenia due to the geopolitical political situation? And secondly, Armenia's political climate is very polarized, it's not very nuanced, it's very sophisticated. Some people think that Armenia's political system or democratic system will not become more evolved until there is economic growth and economic development. So I'm wondering, do you think that the focus of the Armenian state should really be on developing the economy, and then things like democratization and the stabilization of the political system should naturally fall into place?
Well, I believe those are two processes that can go hand by hand. There is no first and second in those processes. Obviously, there are things that are undeniable. Investors and investments like stability. And no investor will consider a country with non-stable political situation or with the security threats. But what we see in practice, I can tell you for our experience, we see a lot of investors considering Armenia when it comes to IT and renewable energy, because they believe these are things that are not relevant to the borders, because the products that you're selling, it's a code or it's an energy produced through the solars. When it comes to other sectors, a lot of people have considered this an opportunity, and people who are not very much into the Armenian realities, they believe that because and after the opening of different borders and reconciliation, probably there might be an opportunity for them. And a lot of investors, they consider this as an early stage entrance where they can have a higher margin when it comes to the exact point, to the ultimate point of the solution. But I believe that a lot of changes have happened also due to the world order that has been created just 2 months ago, when people didn't consider to invest in Armenia before, because it was much more volatile than other countries. Yet, after the Russia's closure to the world, now we see that a lot of companies, they're considering their relocation, manufacturing, logistics to do through Armenia. Because again, as I said in the beginning, Armenia is the only country that has good relations and the respective economic perspectives with Russia, but also with the European Union, with Iran, with different other countries, with free trade regimes, etc.
Perfect. Well, Hovsep, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you too.
And thank you for joining us on CivilNet.